Hi, I'm going to talk a little bit about World of Goo and its educational value today. World of Goo is a video game kind of like Angry Birds, which is targeted towards a wide audience. It was developed by two former Electronic Arts employees in coffee houses, but nevertheless, it's a huge success today. The game requires the players to have some knowledge of gravity, like things falling down and connecting them, distribute forces across them. The player needs to be curious and motivated to explore into uncharted areas. The player needs to be able to reason his way through unknown problems, and lastly, needs to have some basic touch interactions with respect to dragging and connecting the goo balls. In terms of objectives that the player is likely to learn involve problem solving, reasoning, and knowledge of some physics principles. It involves dynamically identifying the goal, the problem, and generating solutions by managing interdependent resources like the light, balloon, and the heavy black glue. Though not mandatory, it is necessary to know some underlying physics principles to solve the problem. It can alternatively be solved by reasoning. Based on the skills that can be learned from the game, I present two sample scenarios that can work as well. Case 1 is working on an art project, where you explore into creative thinking, you play with ideas, and you figure out your goal by narrowing down the scope to possible solutions, let's say contemporary art, oil painting. And reflection can be when can I submit this before the deadline, and hypothesis is in terms of well which feature is well suited here. In terms of entrepreneurship, exploration can be in terms of user research or product research. Uh, Figuring out the goal can be the markets to explore, and reflection can be whether your idea is profitable, make money out of it, and making a hypothesis whether this feature is apt for your product or your users. Game has simple mechanics, transport the exit pipe. The goos have different properties, and you can use time bugs to retrace your path as a second chance. No clues at all probe into problem solving and reasoning. Players learn how to solve different problems based on scenarios, and they reason out and ideate solutions as learning objects. The game dynamics is adaptive, so you need to apply physics skills on the fly. You have an option to compete with yourself with obsessive completion distinction, both on time and the numbers. And you need to carefully use your time bugs as they are a valuable resource. No clues are given with respect to reasoning the solution. With respect to learning, it leads to quick thinking and self-assessments, which come in the form of the number of goo balls you collect levels. The main components of aesthetics involved are challenge, as each level is a new in itself and tests new skills. It also leads players to venture into unknown and explore new ways to use the goo balls. The music, sound, and visuals add to a evocative experience and help the player stay motivated to conquer difficult levels. Learning principles involved are immediate feedback, as you can see how gravity works and the structure precariously wobbles if you don't distribute weight properly. The stability can be evaluated immediately, and the player has the option to correct himself by using a time. Another learning principle is segmenting and pre-training. All the levels are broken down into training sets where you play with different set of goo balls and then you finally combine them together to use them in difficult levels. One redesign idea that I propose is the carrying over to upcoming levels. This is a popular mechanic supported in other games, and it prompts the players to use their resources judicially. In terms of mechanics, it's prompts the players to be conservative about their goo balls, which leads to a better dynamic of planning, and this also improves the aesthetic of giving a better sense of challenge and accomplishment when you finish the game. This also relates to the learning goals, as it involves more creative thinking and reasoning. With respect to learning principles, it also provides immediate feedback from the number of goo balls that you have after you complete the level, and simple levels can show you're working well on the game by collecting more goo balls. Redesign too, such as we use real world examples as problems in some of the levels. I was inspired by this in one of the learning principles and app for the World of Go. For example, a level that prompts users to build a structure like the Eiffel Tower. In terms of mechanics, more a room for players to think creatively as they have a constraint now. The dynamics ask for more planning and strategy from the player. The aesthetics provides a visual feel of your level, and you get a sense of creating your own Eiffel Tower. As per learning objectives, it leads to out-of-game transfer and prompts to understand principles in realistic scenarios, and immediate feedback on your strategies and segmenting problems as you scaffold into very real systems. I feel this leads the players to start thinking about the game outside of the context, and prompting questions like this can get players motivated in physics. With respect to part 2, I propose to add an avatar which collects food to provide motivation to players to complete the game successfully. I came up with this idea from one of the e-learning principles from me, which is to have an instructional agent to promote learning. I also see this as a form of gamification in terms of intrinsic motivation to cognition. The player has an intrinsic need to help, and kids at a young age may want to help animals. So having uh, the correct answers go to the monkey as food might be helpful. Notice that the feedback is immediate, and it's given on the same screen, and the carrot is highlighted on the monkey's plate. The monkey swims from the top and shows that it has taken the carrot with it. When you answer wrong, the monkey doesn't get the food item, and so it also indicates that the subject knowledge is incomplete. In terms of cognitive principle, it adds to intrinsic motivation, as you see a way to compete with yourself. Notice that the watermelon is eaten away. Again, the banana is highlighted, and watermelon is eaten away to show that you have not completed the game very successfully.